gentlemen, welcome to the Hongkong International Center. Okay, homework again. Okay, my name is Junshil Che, an intern for GIC, and today's host. I am so glad to meet you all here for GICTALK. Before starting, I would appreciate if you check that your phones are switches and silent mode one more time. Now, I will introduce today's amazing lecturer. YouTube star, Korean language advocate, foreign language master, and power blogger. There are so many titles to distinguish him. He is Hyunwoo Sun, famous for the website Talk to Me in Korea and Talk to Me in English. Also, he is CEO of G9Languages and the host of daily radio on EBS. Today, he will give a talk for us about his website Talk to Me in Korea, how he started this project, and how he has been able to make it successful. Furthermore, he will mention what his long-term goals for this project. Lastly, he will give you some advice for how to learn languages effectively. So ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome our speaker with a big round of applause.
할 수 있나요? 네. 여기만 할 수 있으면 끄고 아니면 네. 네, 안녕하세요. 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 Is it better? So I'm going to be talking in English, but if you want me to switch languages to Korean, please raise your hand. And I prepared a little talk, but and I also know that we have a Q&A session after the talk, but if you have any question, any urgent question that you need to ask at that right moment, please just feel free to ask me. I'll try to answer all the questions. So, are you happy to be here?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. I'm very happy to be here. As you may or may not know, this is my hometown. I was born and raised here until I was 18 years old, until I was 고3, the third year in high school, and I left for college in Seoul. So it's always nice to be back here. I usually come back only for 설날 and 추석, and but GIC always brings me back here, so I'm very, very thankful. So today I'm talking about, what am I talking about today? Does anybody know? Talk to me in Korean. So I'll talk about Talk to Me in Korean, but I won't bore you with too many details about what time we go to work, what time we leave work, what time we have lunch, or what we eat for lunch, or anything like that. I'll talk about my own background, why I started doing this, and how we're doing it, and what we want to achieve in the future. Is that something that might interest you? Yeah. Cool. So let me ask you one more question before I begin. Who's learning Korean here? All right, 15 people. Who's learning English? All right. So that's cool. I really hope this talk will be interesting for you. So, I will begin with this statement written in Korean, which means anything is possible. I didn't really believe in this until I was 18 years old in Korean age. I was a shy student. I just hadn't achieved anything major in my life. So whenever someone said, or some nice quote by somebody that said, anything is possible, I didn't really believe it, but thanks to English, thanks to the fact that I was able to learn English from scratch, teach myself English from scratch until I became fluent or somewhat comfortable, made me realize that anything is possible, but on one condition, which is this. If you make active efforts, like for example, if you wish that you lived in Hawaii for 1 year, if you wish that you had enough money to go to Hawaii for a year, and you just keep wishing, nothing happens. But if you just save money, like set aside a certain amount of money every month, it can happen. So to give you an example, some examples of what I did, like after I started believing in this, I'll give you some examples from my life. I'm sure you have achieved great things in your life. So just compare this to your own experiences. The first thing that I wanted to achieve, something that looked almost impossible, was speaking English. 영어를 잘하고 싶다. I wanted to speak good English. So did I achieve that?
Yep.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Thank you. I think I have sort of achieved it. So I wanted to really speak good English, and I'm happy that I can communicate with people, even with an audience like yourselves. And also another thing, another example that I often use is when I entered college, the first thing that I really wanted to do was this. I wanted to become a b-boy because when I entered college, I was already fed up with studying because I had already done enough of it. I had spent too many sleepless nights like studying for exams and stuff. So when I became, finally a free man, aka a college student, I wanted to try something new, and incidentally I saw a bunch of guys spinning around on a dirty floor outside and kind of cleaning the floor with their own hair. So I was like, wow, that's really, really cool. I wish I could do that. But I am no good at athleticism or sports or anything. Can I do it? But, kind of thinking about my own experience of learning English from 0 to something like 80%, I kind of thought I could do it. So I went to them and asked them, can I join you guys and become a b-boy? Will I ever learn to do that in millions of years? And they said, yeah, if you practice every day with us, you can probably do it. So I did for the past 13 years. So from a guy who would hurt his own ankle, even from a handstand attempt, I can comfortably do things like this when the sunset is beautiful. Yeah, I know I'm bragging, but bragging is, I think, at the core of self-improvement. I'm going to talk about this in more detail, but if you ever do something amazing, don't you want to kind of tell people that you did it? Or do you want to hide the awesome fact? Nobody hides it. So I think I have unconsciously incorporated this habit into Talk to Me in Korean as well. Whenever something awesome happened, we always share it with everybody. Yeah, so I would do this, or sometimes when I'm bored from too much walking, I would just walk on the wall. No special effects. So this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to become a b-boy. And when I was in my first year in college, the first thing I wanted to do was, especially because I could speak English, I knew I could go to the States and speak to everybody. I knew I could go to England, Australia, and all these English-speaking countries. So I wanted to just explore the world, become the first, world explorer that I know. But I couldn't do it because I had no money. I had to do my military service. Back then, you had to have a permit to travel abroad before you finish your military service. Right now, I think some people can even travel abroad during their military service if there are special occasions like weddings and stuff. But in my generation, which was like only 10 years ago, I couldn't travel abroad easily. So my dream was, I want to travel abroad, not often, but just travel abroad at least once. And I think I have kind of realized my dream because I did travel a lot for the past 7 years. And of course I'm doing this in front of a pyramid. So I think I travel quite often, at least 2 or 3 times a year domestically, and also 2 or 3 times a year abroad as well. I just came back from a 2-week trip with my wife to Europe 2 weeks ago. So I've been doing all these things, but what am I going to do with my career? What do I want to make money out of? What do I want to do for the rest of my life? Can I just keep learning languages and just keep dancing, and will somebody support me? Not really. So I wanted to find a job, right? I wanted to find something that I could do that will support me. So my next goal was this. I wanted to do something that would help people, something that can actually help improve their lives, and that was Talk to Me in Korean. I'm really happy that I started doing this because I think I am helping a lot of people, and I'm not doing this by myself. It's an awesome feeling to be doing it as a team, and we have a good time always making content for Talk to Me in Korean. So that's what I wanted to do. Before I go over to the Talk to Me in Korean part in more detail, I'd like to talk about my own language learning experience a little bit, 2 or 3 minutes. So this is when I first started learning English, when I was 16 years old, Korean age. Don't worry, I didn't look like this when I was 16. This was taken in 2000, I don't know, like 10 years after that. So I didn't really look like this as a high school student. This person right here, Mrs. Mary Lona Kibi, she didn't look this old yet. But what happened was, I was just an ordinary student in Gwangju Jail High School over there. And I had, on one summer day, I had this stomach ulcer, like bad ulcer, because I was so stressed out as a high school student. So I wanted to go home because I was in so much pain. And I went to the teacher's room to get permission from my least favorite teacher. And this person was standing there. She was from Canada. And because I was the first person that she saw, first Korean student that she met in person, she wanted to be nice to me. And she said, "Good afternoon" to me, like with this awesome smile. And can you guess what I said back to her? She said, "Good afternoon." And I said, "안녕하세요." So I was so embarrassed because I had taken 3 years of English and I couldn't even say good afternoon back to this really nice, really kind person. So that was the starting point of my English language learning journey. And what I did was, I thought of learning English as a video game. You know how when you play Candy Crush, or what other games are you playing? Any games? Like if you play any games, there are stages, levels. And once you clear one stage, do you ever play that stage again? Not really. It's too boring. It's not really exciting enough. So I did the same thing. So one day, since I was so frustrated on this day, I went back to her. I said, "Good afternoon," and left. That was my little revenge. I wanted to prove to her that I could actually, I knew better than, that. So another day, I went to her own office and said, "How are you?" I threw just "How are you?" to her. And that was my stage 3. And she would answer me, "How are you?" I'm doing good. How are you?" And then I would answer, "I'm doing fine too. Have a good day." And that was my stage 4. I would try to expand the sentence I could actually say myself, for myself. And then I did that for 2 years. Every day I would try to say something longer. And in order to do that, I would need a lot of grammar books, a lot of vocabulary guides and stuff like that. 1 year later, everybody knew that I was studying English really, really hard in my school. Everybody was aware of the fact because I was crazy about English. I was so frustrated on that day that it gave me a year's worth of motivation. So everybody knew that, and one day, my French language teacher, as a second foreign language subject, she came to me with this official document and asked me, "Hey, Hyunwoo, are you interested in going to Paris?" What would your answer be?
Of course.
Of course. And that was exactly what I said, of course. But then I also had to ask her a follow-up question. So what do I need to do? Do I have to pay? Do I have to do something? And she said, "Don't worry, you just have to win the first place in the national French language contest among high school students." The national contest. So I said, "So how much time do I have?" She said, 2 weeks. You have 2 weeks to cram for this exam. Ministry of Education will actually send you to Paris. And of course, I didn't make it. And on the day of this contest, I went to the hall, the main hall of the school, to accompany my teacher who would take me to the contest place. And he actually brought 2 other older high school students, my 선배s, as well. So I asked him, "Who are these students? Am I not the only one who's going to the French contest?" And he said, "Oh, these guys?" He said it very, matter-of-factly. He said, "Oh, these guys are going to the English contest." So from that point on, my goal, my next very detailed active goal was to actually go to the English section of the contest and win the first place, and maybe go to London, maybe New York, because they were sponsoring those trips back then. So a year later, can you guess what happened? Do you think I did it?
No.
Yes, I did. So I went to the preliminary round of Gwangju, and then I took the first place, and I went to the Seoul final round and also took the first place. And I was really, really looking forward to my trip to some English-speaking country. But then all of a sudden, if you remember, in 1997, 1998, Korea had the worst recession. We had to, and they had to cut all the budgets. So instead of going to an English-speaking country for the first time in my life, I went to Jeju Island with some English-speaking professors. I was very happy about that. So yeah, that's what happened. At that point, I was comfortable in English, but I was ready for some more experiences. So I was always trying to talk to more people from other cultural backgrounds. But as you know, for every able-bodied Korean man, there's one thing that they have to take care of before they can do anything when they reach 20 years old. You know what that is? Military service, of course. So since military service, 26 months of military service was an obligation for me and everybody else that I knew. I had to kind of think about when I was done with it. So I really wanted to start exploring the world in this year, but I was kind of too busy having fun. So it became year 2000, and I realized, oh, I'm too late in this, so I need to apply for my military service. So I did, and the way it works is if you apply this year, they send you a letter next year so that you can enlist the year after. So I went to the Army in 2001, and what year did I get started from the Army? 2003. So by the time I was finally free again to do anything, it was already 2004. So that is my excuse for not doing anything special for those 4 years. So this is the year that I started working part-time jobs to start making money and then saving money, enough money so I could travel abroad. And this is the first year that I actually went to a foreign country for the first time in my life. Can you guess what city this is? A lot of people say that.
Vegas. Vegas?
No. Yes.
Tokyo.
Tokyo, yes. This is the Tokyo Tower, not the Eiffel Tower, although it looks similar. So Tokyo was the first foreign city that I visited, and up until that point, I wasn't really interested in learning Japanese because I thought, okay, Tokyo equals Japan equals foreign country equals I can speak English there. That's what I thought. I was so narrow-minded. So I hadn't really tried to learn English, I mean Japanese. But on the first day of my trip, of my business trip, I realized it isn't true. Whenever I asked people, excuse me, people would either look at me and just walk away, or not, just hear my voice and then just walk away. So I was determined to speak fluent Japanese, and speak fluent Japanese now. And 2006, I finally went to Paris. I think Paris is one of the favorite destinations for most Korean people. I think every country has that kind of destination, like the favorite destination. I think Hawaii is like that for Japanese people. Maldives is like that for Singaporeans, and Paris is like that for Koreans. So I went there to test my basic French, and then I went to China to work as an unpaid intern at the KTO Shanghai branch for 2 months. Up until that point, once again, I wasn't interested in Chinese at all, but I quickly realized that I couldn't actually survive without speaking Chinese, so I had to learn it. So now I can go to China by myself, and I don't have any problem. And yeah, that's my language learning background. I was learning languages like that, like really crazy. And then in 2008, I realized I couldn't just travel around the world forever when I'm like 65 years old, 75 years old. So I wanted to bring the world to me if possible. So I made this meetup, and the meetup is going on still. And right now, in 2013, every week in Hongdae, like right in front of the Hongdae main gate, 180 people get together every Monday at 7 p.m. to kind of exchange languages and talk about their own experiences. And since this is such a interesting meetup and it's non-profit, we don't make any money out of it. We just asked all these people to buy one coffee from the coffee shop, and the coffee shop owner is very happy. So we've branched out to many other locations like Lima, Peru, Busan, Daegu, Tokyo, Japan, Vienna, Austria, and then Austin, Texas, and we're also thinking of doing it in Paris as well. We used to do this in Gwangju, but all the organizers actually moved up to Seoul because of their jobs, so we kind of discontinued it. But if you're interested in making language casts here, I can help you organize that. You can make a lot of cool friends. So that's my language learning background. But like I said earlier, I wanted to do something to help people. Me just speaking a bunch of languages wouldn't help anybody but myself, or my wife, or my family. So I wanted to start doing something meaningful. And this is how I got started, how Talk to Me in Korean all started. So a lot of people ask me questions about Korea, 한국에 대한 질문들. And some of the most common questions were questions like, why do Koreans ask me where I am going all the time? Why is Korean age different? What should I do to work in Korea? And also, like more specific questions like, what is the thing that angry housewives eat when they're angry? Like in the Korean dramas, they eat like this bibimbap kind of thing. And cameras don't really shoot the content of the bibimbap bowl. It's always like the side. So people who haven't come to Korea, they always ask me like, what are they eating? Is that some kind of medicine to make them more calm? Not really, right? So I was answering these questions over and over again, and by the time I had answered for the 100th time what Korean age is, I realized I can't do this anymore. I wanted to kind of decrease the amount of work I had to do to answer these questions, so I wanted to solve the problem. And the solution I came up with was my personal blog. I made a blog on blogspot.com, and I started writing about my answers, so that whenever someone comes up to me and asks the same question that I answered yesterday, I could just tell them to visit my blog, and all the answers are there. How to get a hasukjip, how to get so-and-so, where to buy what, things like that. But there was another problem after this. Even when I did this, there was still a problem that wasn't solved. Can you guess what it was? It's actually very easy. Do you read? People don't read.
Video.
Yeah, people don't really like to read lengthy blog posts. So whenever I tell people, they come back to me the next day and they said, oh, I saw the blog, but it's too long. I didn't read it. Can you just tell me? So I did try my best. So the solution was YouTube. Usually when you film something, you take out your camera and film something that's in front of you, right? But because of these requests, I turned my camera around, although I didn't really want to do it, and filmed myself talking about all these other questions. So even now, if you type in what is Korean age or some other common questions, probably the first video search result on Google is one of my videos, my younger self. So I started making videos, and people seemed to be really happy about me explaining things verbally. But there was also another problem that came up. Can you also guess what that problem was? The problem was, I was still doing all this on my own. So whenever I got busy, whenever I got, I don't know, too busy dancing or hanging out with my friends or things like that, whenever something happened in my personal life, I would just abandon the YouTube channel. So sometimes I would spend 3 months without updating my blog or YouTube channel, and people would comment on my old videos. Whatever happened to you? Where did you disappear to? So I decided to do this more regularly. And since I knew myself really well and I didn't trust myself, I wanted to create a team with more awesome people, more organized people that would actually keep track of projects. So that's how I made the website. And I also knew that if I just do this as a hobby, I would stop doing this at a certain point. So I wanted to make it my living. So I also made a company. So that's how I made Talk to Me in Korean. So as you know, since many of you are living here in Korea as an expat, I know Korean or speaking Korean is a must. But for most people outside of Korea who are learning Korean just for fun, if I set up a website asking everybody to register, register and pay a monthly fee and start studying seriously, I knew that everybody would just close the page within 1 second. So I wanted to keep the entry barrier really, really low so that anybody who's learning for fun could actually learn. So we decided to make everything for free, like free of charge. So we distributed everything free of charge for at least 6 months so that anybody could just enjoy learning Korean. And then later on we started producing more premium content. And this is the first lesson we ever published. Does anybody remember this lesson? Yeah, so this is, I know this is small, but this is a one-page PDF ebook that we published 4 years ago. And if you look at this image right here, I know this looks very cheesy and unprofessional, but that was the best we could do. We did a lot of Photoshop to make ourselves look good, and so we did our own design, made our own design efforts, and that was our first lesson ever. And we knew that in many other countries, driving was a must to go anywhere, especially in the States. So we wanted to make audiobooks instead of videos at first. So all of our core structure, core grammar lessons are in audio format, so that anybody could just download audio files, MP3 files, and just listen to them on the go. And after that, we started creating more various types of lessons. Of course, grammar is really, really important. Even if you know 만나서 반갑습니다, nice to meet you, if you can't actually make it a little different to suit the situation, you would be just quiet, right? So grammar is really important to understanding the language. It applies to any language in the world. And of course, we also made these types of picture content, images, so that if someone has 30 seconds to learn one word, they could just learn one word like snow, noon right here, and then just forget about the rest if they don't have 5 minutes to listen to a lesson. And also, as you know, K-pop is very popular around the world. We did actually even made a website called singtomeinkorean.com, but thanks to really complicated copyright laws and regulations, we had to get rid of the website. We couldn't do it, but we found some ways to work around the copyright violation rules, such as using no images, no fonts, no copyrighted fonts. We used one image of Girls' Generation, 소녀시대, because this is a copyright-free image that you can find on Wikipedia. But other than that, we're not violating any laws, any copyright, and then we're still, introducing some interesting phrases from K-pop songs. What about Korean dramas? Of course, everybody's requested drama lessons. Can you break down all the lines from 죽은의 태양 or Good Doctor? We get requests like that all the time, but we can't do it unless we spend a fortune to buy the rights to use the drama lines. So we couldn't do it, but we also found some ways to do it and made 20 very popular lessons based on Korean dramas. What we did was we picked some very commonly used drama lines that is not specific to any drama. For example, if I say 언제까지 비밀로 할 작정이었어요? Something like that. Until when were you going to keep it a secret? No one talks like that in real life. Everybody knows that it's from straight from a Korean drama. So a lot of people enjoyed watching those dramas and also purchasing the ebook for the drama lessons. So that's what we did, and also we made a lot of quizzes that people could use to feel more confident, and a lot of 이야기 lessons, a lot of conversations recorded very naturally. We've also made lots of videos. So altogether, we've published over 160 episodes of very natural dialogues between two people. They're all available for free to listen. So we've made these videos. So those are the types of content that we've been making. And actually, we have 20 different types of contents that I didn't mention here. So we keep making new content. And whenever I talk about these things, the following question that people often ask is, so how do you ever make money? How do you support your website if you're not sponsored by the government, or if you're born rich or something like that? It's very simple. We sell some premium content, but we do not tell everybody to buy everything. People who can afford to buy our ebook content, which is generally better than our free content, they can, if they can afford to do it, they support us, and we've been running our website just like that. So we have many books, ebooks, audiobooks that people can buy. So we also make ebooks available for these smartphone devices and tablet PCs. So up to this point, I was talking about some problems that we wanted to solve, like people asking me questions and me not wanting to repeat the same answers. So we've been doing really a lot of stuff, but there was still another problem that we encountered. Can anybody guess what the problem was? We've been teaching Korean mostly for free. People loved the lessons, but there was a problem. Can anybody guess? Yes?
People's will to learn Korean.
People's will to learn Korean. That's okay. That can be a problem.
Yes. People steal your content.
People stealing our content. That has happened several times. But our very friendly, loyal listeners, they've always fought for us. Like whenever somebody puts up a illegal copy of our book on Amazon.com, they charge 3 times the regular price. We just talk about that incident on Twitter just once, and everybody kind of attacks this person and just on the account. So we're very thankful for that. But so that way we've been solving that problem. But one problem, a bigger problem that we saw was actually this. This is a sample tweet from a listener. So this person wrote, I'll read it for you. 안녕하세요. Can you guess what's unnatural with that? It should be 안녕. So a small typo there, small mistake. And also 감사함 instead of 합. I think she just wrote what it sounded like to her. So this is also an example. Someone wrote to us, 안녕하세요, Talk to Me Korean TTMIK 선생님. 지금은 쿠웨이트에서 2시 23분이에요. It's 2:23 in Kuwait. So that's what she wanted to say, but she said 쿠웨이트에서. In more natural Korean, it would be 쿠웨이트는 2시 23분이에요. Or 쿠웨이트에서는. So these little mistakes that people make very naturally, in the process of learning, we wanted to kind of solve that. So the problem was, 틀리게 쓰는 한국어를 방치할 수 없다. We couldn't see an incorrect sentence and just, forget about it. We wanted to actually help them speak better, more natural Korean. So that's the next step that we took. And that's How to Korean. We built this website. We are hiring a lot of Korean native teachers to correct sentences, so we couldn't make this one free, but we tried to keep the price low. So this is what we're doing, How to Korean. So this is our final step so far. So that's Talk to Me in Korean. That's how we kind of developed our service. Any questions so far? All right. If there are no questions, when you answered my question, he talked about students' will to study Korean. So we're talking about motivation. And let me talk a little bit about what we're doing to motivate people. One thing that we're doing very actively is never using a model I know we don't look as good as models, but we try to use the actual teachers in all the images that we use. That way we can actually connect with people. So when I walked into the GIC building earlier, some people recognized me, some people, offered a handshake, and I'm really happy to experience that. If we were using models, like good-looking people, when I came here, like people were like, "Who are you?" So people can feel more connected to us this way, and whenever they have something awesome to share, like they passed a topic, like level test, or they could talk to someone successfully in Korean, who are they going to share the news with? Us. So we want to be there as real existing teachers by showing ourselves online a lot. Here are some examples. We often ask people, although we're not teaching anything in this post, we ask people, which country are you studying Korean from? 어느 나라에서 공부하고 계세요? And a lot of people write replies. They say, Germany represent, South Africa, America, or Canada, Mexico, blah, blah, blah. And then, as you can see, there are 733 comments. And among all the commenters, they actually check other people's comments, and they find people from their own country, and they message each other, and then kind of they meet up or become friends and stuff. So we always ask people questions that they can kind of see and answer very simply on our Facebook page. And we also ask simple questions like, which do you like better? Kimbap plus tteokbokki or ramen plus 밥? Of course, we get a lot of creative comments as well. Like most people, nice people, they either choose one or two, but a lot of creative people, they say kimbap, tteokbokki plus soju, or ramen plus 밥 plus soju plus 맥주. They get really creative sometimes. So we're very happy to see creative comments like that. Also, when we go to a nearby restaurant, we take pictures of random stuff, random animals, and we also ask people on our Facebook page or Google Plus or Twitter, what am I? And people answer very creatively. Like they can kind of review whether they know the word for a cat or not. 고양이. Some people write in Koreanized English word cat, or some people say food, some people say evil, something like that. And we also post pictures and like us eating, and teachers like doing these cheesy poses. Although we're not really good at this, like we're always blushing, but we just want to appreciate everybody for studying with us. So we also always show our appreciation through whatever we can do. And we say hello to our listeners out there through photos that have been photoshopped heavily. And we also, right now, you're lucky to be living in Gwangju because Gwangju is famous for awesome dishes. But some people are not as lucky, so we always tease people by posting pictures of delicious foods, delicious Korean foods, and make them drool at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and they get angry at us for doing that. And we also kind of believe that by doing these kind of things, posting pictures of Korea foods, we are making people want to come to Korea. And in order to come to Korea, what should they do? They should prepare. And by preparing, they have to learn Korean, and then they would have to use our lessons. So it's a virtuous cycle, I hope. We also try to post a lot of pictures of ourselves in casual settings, and when our intern Terry joined our crew for a year, he's still working with us. He's very fluent in Korean. We posted pictures of us, things like that. The video right now that I want to show you is there audio? Is an example of how we ask people to participate as well. So far I've talked about what we do, kind of what we publish online, one way. But I think if we ask people to participate, and if something cool happens, people feel very happy for a long time, and they still feel very motivated after a while. So this is a video that we made. So what we did with this video is, this is called International Song Collaboration. And we started this many years ago, and this is the 4th video that we did. We give people the instrumental track only of the song, and then the lyrics, romanization, and the translation in a PDF, and then people can practice and then sing and record only their voice in video format and send it back to us. And we put everything together and made a beautiful collage. And what happened after this video was really cool, because we posted this video as just another episode of this series, and 2 days after that, the agency of the original singer, Jo Young-pil, the agency of Jo Young-pil actually contacted us to ask us for permission to use this video in his upcoming concert. Isn't that amazing? So we said yes or no? Yes, of course. We said yes, thank you, yes, and can we actually get 2 or 3 tickets to go to the concert? Not to just watch the concert, but to film the whole atmosphere so that we can send that video footage to these 50 people who participated in this video and make them just happy, like super happy, happier than anybody else for the day. So we did. We went there and we were so stoked to see that 20,000 people were in the audience. This video was viewed like 30,000 times on YouTube, and 30,000 is a big number, but on YouTube it's a minor number. But when you see 20,000 people in front of your eyes, sitting in the audience, watching that video that you made, it blows your mind. And I think it did the same to everybody who participated. So we went back to the office and showed everybody the footage, and everybody was like really, really happy. So right now, whoever participated in that video, I'm sure some of them are still talking about it, because it was really, really special, especially because the video was played on this large screen, many large screens, and then right after the video ended, the original singer, Jo Young-pil, came out and performed the same song. It was really, really amazing and meaningful. So we want to keep doing these things that we can invite people to participate in. So that was the video. So back to the first statement that I made about myself, yourselves, talk to me in Korean. I believe anything is possible. We wanted to help people with the Korean language, so we've come a long way. Right now, I believe, as far as we know, we're the biggest community for learning Korean in the world, and we have some exciting things happening very soon. I can't talk about it yet, but if you talk to me in about 6 months or even 4 months, I'll be able to give you some amazing news about our next step. We're working hard on it, and I'm very excited about it. I'm just frustrated that I can't tell you right now. So anything is possible as long as you set a very specific goal and you work for it. As a fun example, I would like to end this talk by talking about this photograph that I took on Jeju Island about 2 months ago. I went to Jeju with my wife. I was taking a photo of this beautiful flower. I wasn't interested in this guy. I'm not sure if it's a guy or a girl, but I wasn't interested in this bee because I hate bees. But he flew over to on top of the flower and started eating the flower, and then as I was pressing the shutter, he looked at me like this, just like that, and like that. For the first time in my life, I made eye contact with a bee. So when I took this photo, do you think I wanted to share this or I wanted to keep this for myself? Sure. I shared it, of course. A lot of people were like saying, "Wow, amazing shot! How did you do that?" And just by looking at the likes and comments, I felt motivated to do something more amazing, like handshake with a snake or something. Not really, but just by getting all this positive reinforcement, I was motivated to become a better photographer or a luckier photographer in the future. And I think it applies to everything, like language learning, life in Korea, or your career. If you share something even if it's something as small as this, like a coincidence, people around you are always going to be supporting you. Hey, you're doing awesome. If you're learning Korean, if you tell people that I'm learning Korean, instead of just meaningless how are yous, you can get greetings like, how's your Korean going? Or can I help you with anything? So please share your progress. And this is the reason that I'm showing all these pictures. And this is also the same reason that I showed you pictures of me like on the wall, because today I showed you those photos and it would suck to not be able to do it in 6 months. I would still be able to, still want to do it. So I would still work toward it. So please share your progress, and whatever you do, I wish you good luck, and thank you for being an awesome audience. 감사합니다.